everybody. It's Dr. Regina. How are you? Today is just one of those days where we're having fun behind the scenes. So we thought we'd bring that a little bit of that in front of the scenes. So we are talking about making moves. Again, at the beginning of March, I told you we're going to do live all throughout the month of March. And as a special bonus, we're tying in different things that we celebrate for the month of March. And March is all of the months. So please go back and look at that very first one, or just look at the different topics we're going to talk about. But this month is National Physical Fitness / Physical Training and Sports Awareness Month. This is one of my favorite things, one of my absolute favorite things. I have been doing some form of working out or exercise or being physically fit probably since they started those physical fitness tests back in the day. And I will tell you, I was absolutely terrible at them when I was younger, but that's not the point. Today, what we're going to talk about is how you can go literally from being incredibly sedentary without having to do the Tai Chi app, the workout thing. You know, you see those literally they're on every commercial, they're everywhere. You don't have to do that. You don't have to pay $1 for that. If you're paying for an expensive gym membership, you can continue it if you want. If you're paying for expensive training, you can continue that if you want. Or if you're just trying to get back into things, I have a surefire way to help you get back into things. So before we end today, I'm going to share at least 3 areas that you can grow in and improve your mood, improve your energy, improve your concentration, and actually help with your weight loss. So, fun fact, I am down 20 pounds from I started back in my fitness journey. So, let me tell you just a little bit about my story. So, again, as I said, from those little physical fitness activities, I've been doing something during that time, but I was always that nerdy kid that didn't do so great with just about anything. I couldn't do dodgeball. I couldn't do basketball. I remember being my birthday and they were like, "Oh, you can make it. You can make it because it's your birthday." They kind of forgot that just because it's your birthday doesn't mean that you can make the basket. It's not like some special cosmic thing happens from above that says, "Oh, she shall make the shot now because it's her birthday." Yeah, it didn't work that way. So I didn't score the game winning score because I couldn't shoot. My mom, however, phenomenal basketball player. Siblings, phenomenal basketball people. Aunts, uncles, phenomenal basketball and sports people. Me, yeah, not so much. So either way, I was really into the idea of sports, very much into that, but not really able to do very much until I started playing clarinet. What the heck does clarinet have to do with physical fitness? Well, I joined the marching band and we had to run and jump and do all kinds of things to be physically fit to be a part of a marching band. And we would go to places like Norfolk State, behold the green and gold, to be able to do these band competitions. And we usually were number one. Only IC Norcom would sometimes beat us. But other than that, we did a lot. And that was my entree into the physical fitness world. I went from there to starting to lift weights because if you weren't marching, then what did you do in the off season? Well, if you weren't playing basketball in the off season, you played some other sport, baseball, or maybe you did football or something else. In high school, you know, you can do all the sports. So if I wasn't doing marching band, I ended up doing track. I don't like to run. So why was I doing track? It was something to do to kind of keep myself up and active, helped with the wind, strength and stamina for playing clarinet. So I played sports to help me be a better clarinetist because that's what I really liked. I really enjoyed the arts. So long story short, started lifting, started doing all kinds of things. I continued to lift and I could actually outlift the football players when I was in high school. Continued that in college, continued that in medical school. And then I kind of dropped off once I had my first child. I still did some cycling, I still did some cardio, but didn't lift nearly as much. Fast forward 20 years later, and I'm starting to do all of those things again, not just the cardio that I continued along the way with biking or Zumba or strong in the HIIT exercises, but starting to lift again. And now that I fast forward, I'm lifting with the entire family. So I had to find what worked for me again. When I cannot lift and do cardio the way that I did when I was 20, when I was in my 30s. I've had the pleasure of having a child in every decade after 20. I had one in the 20s, I had one in the 30s, and then I had one in the 40s. So the exercises that I did in the 20s and the amount that I could lift and the weight bearing that I had on my joints, just personally for my body, not so great in my 30s. And then again, when I was in my 30s, what I did in my 30s, I'm not able to do quite as much in my 40s. So I've changed it, right? I may lift less amounts, but I might increase my reps or change the type of activity. And so personally for me, that just meant joining a specialty gym that's more of a community than having large amounts that I can lift. Now I can still do what I need to do, but guess one thing that has been the thread all throughout is I've wanted to have physical fitness as a part of my life. Personally helps my mood. So that's important to me. The other thing is I've loved adventure racing for a very long time. So yeah, we see all the popular, what do you call those? Live reality TV now that's really super popular. But back in the day, we actually got out there and did it ourselves, and people still do it themselves now. But OCRs are the big thing for me. So let me explain to you how I went from being fairly sedentary in my between 30s and 40s because I had to kind of limit what I was doing, right? I might do Zumba or hit maybe twice a week, but in the in between time, I wasn't doing nearly as much. So let me explain to you what I talk to my patients about. So if your patients, you didn't miss anything, but we're going to talk about physical activity and how we do things. There's really only two slides that I'm going to show you, but Okay. So I just want you to think about that. So as we end, I want you to start thinking about movement that counts. Every single thing that I mentioned today is going to count towards improving your mood. You're going to increase endorphins. You're going to increase serotonin and dopamine to some extent. And you might even be hitting that NMDA receptor, which is what we hit with ketamine or Spravato or any of those fancy medicines. Okay. The ultra ones that make you feel better faster. The endorphins are really the main ones, but all of these things are going to help get you feeling better faster. And it's going to help get you on a road to maybe joining me for an obstacle course race. You want to join me for one over here on the East Coast? Let's talk about it. Put in the comments and we will talk about it. All right. Well, I want you to have a very blessed day on purpose. Very blessed day on purpose. And I hope to see you soon out on a trail, out on a walk, at the gym, at the grocery store, parking way in the back. Also, another way not to get your car hit by a cart by parking further in the back. Do something to get moving this month for the month of March. And remember that every movement that you do counts. It counts for legacy. It counts for your family. It counts for your loved ones. Okay. I appreciate that heart, that like, and of course, subscribe if you think this is helpful, and then share also with someone else that you love, because we want to get them active and physically fit as well in the month of March. Take care. Have a very blessed day on purpose.